Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Evie Comics, and welcome to another indie comic review. This one I wasn't even planning to do today. I literally got home from work, saw a tweet, checked a guy's profile, and ended up reading the first volume, and have some good things to say about it. I have some critiques as well as always, but this was just kind of a happy surprise. But before we get into this, you guys are absolutely killing it with this stuff right here. You guys are absolutely killing it. I am really, really happy with how this is doing. I did stream a couple days ago on the release of this, talking about some of the behind the scenes stuff, and showing off of some of the artwork and other things about it. But man, the first volume, Death Metal, passed 10,000 views. That is incredible. Just 10,000 views. I mean, I remember there was man, what was it? It wasn't even like that long ago that I had made an announcement that we had passed 10,000 views. Yeah, this was back in September 9th. It's been 2 months. 2 months have passed, and we've gone from 10,000 total views to 10,000 views on volume 1, which is incredible. The fact that I've gotten more than double that on in total, and 10,000 on just one, it's pretty incredible. Now, I did say in the past that the viewer retention was really good because it wasn't really much difference between volume 1, 2, and 3. They were all kind of similar in number. Now that has obviously changed because a lot of people have been introduced to the series through the shorts, the YouTube shorts, and the TikTok and Instagram Reel and all that kind of stuff that Global Comics itself, the official Global Comics accounts, posted a video about Little Miss Steel. They actually got a few things wrong in the summary. I kind of wish I was contacted before they posted it, but regardless, that caused a lot of resurgence. I've also gotten a lot of exposure on Twitter as well. Twitter seems to be popping off a little bit more, and of course, all my my other social medias. I'm sure they probably have something to do with it too, but it's mainly, I think, a combination of that shout out post from Global Comics and getting a little more traction on Twitter finally. And all without premium, by the way. I'm not paying for the Twitter Blue or whatever it's called. I don't even know what it's called anymore. But I'm not verified. But basically, you guys have been knocking it out the park with this. 10,000 views on the first one, 5,000 on the second one, and then 4,000, almost 4,000 on volume 4. And keep in mind that these are separated by 3 or 4 months. So, I mean, there's a time span there that, like, these, like, volume 3 will probably be at where volume 2 is in the next, like, 2 months, probably, with viewership, if things keep going the way they're going. But yeah, I'm super happy about that. Super happy about it. And the fact that it's been 48 hours. 48 hours since volume 5 has gone up. And 800 people have already read it. 800 people have read this comic in 48 hours of posting it. That is absurd to me. That is, like, imagine 800 people. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. So I really appreciate that. And then to imagine 10,000 people reading volume 1 is just absurd. Like, it's crazy stuff, man. So I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the support for this. The comments have also been really nice too, especially Volume 4. Volume 4 got a lot of interaction there because it was quite the doozy of a comic as far as like storytelling goes. But yeah, thank you guys so much for not watching, but for reading Little Miss Steel. I really appreciate it. Your support means the world to me. I couldn't do this without you because literally, why would I be doing it? It is a very fun experience making this a story that I feel appeals to people like me who feel like there's a lack of storytelling when it comes to like the style of cartoon storytelling that they had in the 2000s and 90s. I just don't really see that. I don't see it today. So I'm like, how can I fix that? Well, I can't make a cartoon, but maybe I will someday. But I can't right now. So I might as well just do the next best thing, which is like comics. Which not to say that comics is a lesser medium than animation. I'm saying as far as capability, comics are easier to do than animation. So with all that being said, how did I get started? How did I get on this? So I saw this tweet here from Dreams Uncharted saying nothing in comics is fast, making comics is slow, true. Building an audience is slow, true. And if you're trying to create your own infrastructure as I am, it's extra slow. One day though, I believe all of this will pay off. And it's got this main character here, Kaya, which I thought was Kaja, but it's pronounced Kaya apparently. Saying he sure is taking a while. Now, immediately, a couple things stood out to me. One, I agree with this post. Two, he said your own infrastructure, so that was interesting to me. I'm like, so you're selling your own comics, you're manufacturing it, you're trying to do everything yourself, similar to how the Riververse is doing it, right? I said the R word. Oh no. But the main thing, the other thing that caught my eye was the art style, which seems kind of like anime, a little bit like Avatar: The Last Airbender, sort of in the art style. And that appeals to me because I see a lot of people in this space, and in the Comicsgate space in general, there's a lot of like the super kind of realism shading, or super detailed, I should say. Like everything is like, there's so much detail on everything. And like that's for like the top echelon of like actual like artists in this space. And that style, while obviously being beautiful in its own right, is not my main appeal. My main appeal, like for me personally, is cartoony art styles. Like, you know, I draw what I like. But I also like other people's takes on it, and I think this is a pretty good take on it. So that appealed to me. And so that caused me to wonder. I'm like, okay, let me click his page. Free comics in bio. Interesting. That also got me interested. So I was like, so you're making your own infrastructure, selling your comics physically, but you're also selling free comics? How does that work? Well, it turns out, you go to Dreams Uncharted Fleet website, you will see that they have a bunch of free comics up here that you can read. And this, to me, I thought this was a pretty cool twist for me, because I was expecting it all to be physical copies. But when he talks about infrastructure, or she, I don't know who's talking. But you know, the person behind the account is basically saying the infrastructure is being made, which includes their own website to post their own comics too. So like me, I don't really feel the need to do that. If I did, I would make my own website. But of course, getting viewers to look at your own website is always going to be harder than actually, you know, doing this. It's like making your own crowdfunding website would be much more difficult to get any traction on than using like Indiegogo or something, right? If you use the websites that are more trusted and have their own sort of built-in algorithms to kind of expose people to things they like, you get more attention, right? You get more viewership on your stuff, which is partially why this stuff is popping off with Little Miss Steel right now. But doing this way means you have full control over everything, which is really nice. Now, granted, you know, I can't see what the viewership is if I go to Snipe Hunter. I don't see any kind of viewership here. They have this thing that I've never seen before personally, but maybe it's not a unique thing, where it says next page funding progress. So instead of actually funding the comics, they're funding it page by page, which I think is a pretty more realistic goal, I think. Instead of trying to set up for like a massive amounts, like thousands of dollars per comic, you just have like a page thing set up. That basically, like, if people donate and purchase comics and basically make it to where like they can fund the next page, then they'll go ahead and post it. I'm sure the artwork might already be done, but realistically, I think setting goals to post that artwork, I think it's pretty good. I think it's a good idea. It makes sense to me for sure, and it incentivizes readers who are really hooked on the story to continue to donate. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a really nice way of approaching the crowdfunding technique. Instead of going for massive goals, you go for smaller incremental goals, and I think that makes sense. I think the other way works too, but I think this is the first time I've seen it done in this method, and I think that's fun. I think that's a different take. That's cool to see. Now, to actually get on with the actual review of the comic. The artwork, as I expected from seeing the artwork on Twitter, artwork is really good. I'm not afraid to scroll through this because it is free to view, so I'm not leaking anything that's like, you know, premium viewership or whatever. Obviously, I'm not gonna like pause and like go through the entire comic, but I'm just scrolling through and just showing you this. First part here is a little bit of a different art style. The text and stuff is displayed a little bit differently as well. But then here's like your typical style, right? And this honestly, especially with the vertical scroll kind of format that this site has, which I'm not sure if you can change it actually, that might be a nice quality of life thing. If you're watching this, people who work on the website, maybe a quality of life thing where you can change the view format to double page instead of just one page scrolling down. I don't know how difficult that would be, but that could be something because Global Comics has that, and that's how I do my comic. But it works fine in double scroll here. Ooh, I just found an error. Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, it's the edge of the hair here, man. Oh, I just now noticed that. I'm sorry. Does not detract from the quality of the comic. I think it's still a really well-made comic. But the idea is like this scrolling format kind of makes it feel like a web comic to me, despite the fact that it also works in double page as well. I just wish I could also look at it in double page format. But you know what? Maybe that's a selling point to having it be sold physically. So, you know, maybe you aren't doing that on purpose. I don't know. But yeah, I could see this working both like in your hands and on this vertical scroll, because you see like the left page, the image goes all the way to the right side of the page, and then the next page, like you see, it's the opposite now, right? Now there's like some white space on the side that kind of spaces it out, right? So that if they print it, there's some margin for error to do that. But the art style is very good. The action is really cool. I mean, just this part here, not even a fight scene, but the intensity, the movement, like the smoke or dust left behind, the movement lines, wow, chef's kiss. I feel every single impact of these characters when they're fighting, when they're moving. Everything feels like very, very forceful, very intent, very intentional, I should say. And the artwork is great. I mean, just the hair detail and stuff. Like, obviously, this is more detail. This is still a more cartoony / anime art style, but it's definitely got more detail in it than my stuff. As far as the hair goes, and like the hair looks really good. Like everything about it, the posing of the characters. There's a few moments here and there where the faces aren't entirely consistent with with the last page, but it's nothing like super abhorrent. Like I've pointed out in example ISOM number 3, there was a part where the faces look completely different, and I had no idea it was the same character. But nothing like that, nothing even close to that happens in this. For the most part, everything is very consistent, very good. Everything looks really good. But as far as that, the character designs as well, all of them stand out. All of the powers that the characters wield, which is known as vetoes users. Insert veto comedy joke here. They all have unique abilities from each other, which allows them to stand out. And to bring up something else that just recently happened, that Chuck Dixon made a post saying if your character silhouette is not immediately identifiable, then the design is a failure. And then proceeded to show Spider-Man, who you can only tell as Spider-Man because of his pose. So it's like, look, my advice, and this is always kind of what I thought, is if you can make your designs distinct from each other, like your characters look distinct from each other from a silhouette, there won't be any question of who your characters are whenever they're reading it, right? Don't focus so much on trying to make a wholly unique silhouette to other characters. Just focus on making your own characters look unique from each other. And I think you'll do much better when it comes to the design. And all the characters do look different. They all have different colored hair. They all have different colored outfits, different types of clothing and stuff like that. And the powers, there's no... When there's fire on the scene, there's no doubt that it's... what's the guy's name? Trell? Or Quell, excuse me. Yeah, Trell. So yeah, I mean, like all the characters have like a distinct look, and then this guy, oh my goodness, I have lots to say about him, but I'll get to it later. Um, but yeah, the art overall, just to summarize the art is very good. I really enjoy it. There's some really nice moments of show don't tell in the artwork as far as some of the character designs, but which I'll get to. But yeah, the artwork is just really good. I enjoy it. They do a lot of dark shading on Vanis's face, which is this guy right here. They do a lot of like shading on his face to make him sinister, immediately getting you the idea that this guy's a bad guy, or at the very least a morally questionable guy on the good side. Because immediately, and this is getting into the story now, immediately we're thrown into this group of villagers who are doing some kind of harvest of this huge plant that apparently creates some kind of fuel, which can also heal you, which is cool. And these villagers are trying to do this. They're doing it for their league, which is the Verdant League. And you're kind of thrown into this thinking like, oh, the Verdant League, this must be the good guys, right? This must be the good group. And then this guy shows up, and it's like, oh, wait a minute. He works for the Baron of the Verdant League, and yet he's this much of a jerk. Like, hold on, wait a minute. Is this the good guys? Are we the baddies? It kind of has that moment where it starts to make you question things, right? And then later on in the comic, you've got this fire character who shows up, Trell, who makes you question things even more. And whenever he starts, instead of immediately, well, he does start to fight the main character, Kaya, but or Kaya, whatever. He does fight her initially, but then they start to talk, and you start to learn some more things, and it makes you start to question, like, okay, wait a minute, maybe this village of people is good, but the actual people running the village are not good. And that definitely seems to be the case, at least from the first volume. I haven't read anything else, so I might be wrong. Excuse me. But yeah, like this guy's introduction basically causes you to question a few things, and the character introductions are done very well for the most part. You've got Vanis, who is easily hateable from the start. Trell, like I said, questions. Who makes you question who's on the right side of this with his conversations with Kaya. Kaya's dad having the injured hand says a lot without saying anything. Like it kind of gives you the idea that, hey, he's got this hand that looks like it's been burned or something. Maybe a chemical burn, maybe not necessarily a fire burn, but it seems his hand is injured, right? They focus on that a little bit, but they don't say anything about it, which is, I think, really good. It's really subtle. It's nice. And then they show a character who wields fire, and that makes you think, okay, maybe this is the bad guy. But turns out he might actually be the good guy. And it's a good little subversion there. Subtle subversion. It kind of puts in your head that, oh, this guy's the bad guy. And then as the fight continues, as they talk a little bit more, and a lot more, you get to understand things are a little bit different than you might have first presumed. But the other thing too is the Baron. He's blind, but I don't think he could be literally blind, or he could be choosing to blind himself by putting on this little helmet thing on him. And I'll scroll back up to the pages with him on it. Cool design. The fact that this is the leader, right? This is the Baron. He's this guy. He's got this helmet that blinds him, and he's punching stone statues and columns and stuff. And what this does, I don't know if this is intentional or if this is a little happy accident. Either way, claim it's intentional. The fact that he chooses to put on a helmet to blind himself, whether he's actually blind or not, it puts this on and throws punches that destroy rocks, shows that he is so in search of power and maintaining the power and control that he doesn't see the oppression that he brings on his people, or chooses to ignore it. And I think that's really good storytelling. I think that immediately is telling you about this character quite a bit. There's a subtlety to that I really like, and I wish it was consistent throughout all of it. But unfortunately, there's a lot of exposition that is dumped in this. And at some points, it gets to be a little too much for me. So I'll scroll back up to the top. Can I scroll back up? Thank you. This part right here shows a map, which is cool. That's always nice for world building, right? When you're doing a totally new world, when you're creating an entirely new, like, ecosystem, island, nation, government, religion, history, all this kind of stuff, there's a lot of stuff that you had to keep in mind. I haven't taken a full-on ground-up world-building thing. I haven't made, like, a project like that yet. One day maybe I will, but I haven't done that entirely yet. Symbiotic, I guess, was the closest I did, but even then it wasn't as involved as this is, right? And what this does is it tries to establish so much right off the bat. Like, it's trying to establish vetoes, the world king, the history of the world this takes place in, and it's done in a cool presentation. The presentation is cool, and it makes me be like, okay, it's exposition, but I'm enjoying the presentation of it. It's not that bad, but it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it goes on for like 7 pages. And if this was the only time this would happen, I think that would be okay. But what ends up happening is, much later in this, at 2 different points in the fight, there's a moment where Trell starts talking with her again, realistically in a moment where he wouldn't be talking to her this much. When there's an active fight going on and he's looking for the guy who just hit him. They wouldn't be talking this much. And not only do they keep talking this much, but he starts to, like, tell her, like, lecture her about, like, how everything works, how vetoes work, how every person uses them, but some people can be trained to, like, use certain methods of it more effectively than others. And then all of a sudden we're thrust back into the action, and you know, it goes how it goes. But what the problem I have with that is that, one, especially in this case, it is interrupting the more important and more engrossing thing right now, which is the action. At no point during this fight scene, and I admit, again, I'm saying all this with, like, genuine criticism. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I think the ideas presented in this are great. I think the world building, like, the ideas that are told here are great. I think the delivery of it is what needs a little bit work, because at no point during this fight am I wondering, how did their powers work? I am enjoying the fight scenes because the art is excellent, the action is really smooth and well choreographed, everything is enjoyable, and then halfway through this fight, I have to read multiple pages of them talking about how vetoes work and who can use what and how you can do it and all that kind of stuff. And I know at the end of the day, this is not all of the information that could have been delivered. There could have been even more. I'm sure the writers have plenty of ideas that are just, they're just waiting to like show their viewers, right? And what I think is the problem, and this is something that, like, every writer can struggle with at some point. It's, you have all these great ideas and you're passionate about these great ideas and you know these ideas are really good, and they are. But you get too excited and dump too much all at once. I think some of this information could have been kept in, but a lot of it, especially in this scene, could have been saved for later comics. Like, maybe instead of explaining how vetoes work to her now in the middle of a fight scene, maybe in volume 2, he explains to her like that while they're walking or something, or while they're going from place to place. It's still exposition being told, but it's in a much more logical place for it to be taking place. And it wouldn't be interrupting anything more exciting or visually appealing like this fight scene has been, and is for the rest of it as well. But I think that's something that every writer struggles with. And I'm gonna make the comparison, and I swear people will hate me for this, but this is the only thing that I will vehemently defend ISOM on, And that's the first two comics do a good job of making Isam's powers subtle. At no point, okay, stick with me. At no point in Isam 1 and 2 does Avery Silman, which is Isam, at no point does he or anyone else explain what his powers are. The first comic, you have no reason to assume he has anything other than super strength and durability. That's basically it. And then the second comic comes around, and without saying anything, shows some scenes that begin to make you question if there's more going on here. And there is more going on here. And ISOM 3 half answers it, but still doesn't answer anything. And that was disappointing to me because it at that point, it's 3 comics in. Tell us something about his powers. Have a little bit at least be explained. And then they tried to, like Eric tried to do it, but it just became more confusing. Like the way that the characters were talking about it was just not. It didn't sound like a human being talking to another human being. It was very clunky. It was very just awkward. And you could tell that he was writing it in a way that he didn't want to explain exactly what it was. That, I think, is the opposite end, right? Where you have a lot of stuff in your head that you know people are going to like, but you're so slow with putting out the information that now by volume 3, I became frustrated with it. But ISOM 1 and 2, I was like, okay, I like that. That's kind of subtle. I do like that way of making you question if he has more powers than that. I think a little bit more of that in this comic could have been done. I think instead of having Trell outright say how vetoes work and all that kind of stuff, I think there could have been ways, and I don't know exactly how to do it. It's your world, but I think there could have been a way potentially to show it instead of tell it so much, especially in this scene. Again, if this conversation happened in volume 2 while they're walking somewhere and not in the heat of battle, would have been perfectly fine. Still would have been a lot of exposition all at once, but it would have been more appropriate for the scene, for the intensity of the scene. It's why I didn't really complain too much about the beginning, because the beginning, it's the start, right? You got to have some kind of basis to start a story on. You have to explain a little bit about the world. And I think this does, I think the beginning explains it in a visually creative way with the way it's presented. And I think that worked. But this scene right here, I felt didn't work quite well enough. I think it was just a little too much. But besides that, I mean, there's not really any other complaint about the writing. And the art, like I said, I don't usually critique art all that much whenever I'm doing these. It's mainly the story. The only thing with the visuals, the only thing here that I had for a complaint, which immediately stuck out to me, was the background text of this burning old paper is just a regular font. And it also seems to be the same thing copy and pasted potentially. If it's not, it kind of looks like it. Yeah, it absolutely is. and I know it's hard to put like a lot of stuff in the background to actually to make it that detailed, right? That's why the more detail you add to your backgrounds, the more pain of a butt it is, because you have to keep that level of detail consistent. And even for this scene, this text stood out to me. And I might not have even looked at this and realized that this is the same thing at the top and the top paragraph and the bottom paragraph here. I might not have even recognized that if the font was just a little more like, it looks like a handwritten font. I might not have even paid attention to it. I might have just seen that it was in like Lorem Ipsum or whatever, and just not even paid attention. But because the font is just a normal font on what looks to be like a scroll type of paper, it caught my eye. It caught my eye. But that's, again, minor complaints. All the things I'm saying right now are mostly minor complaints. The only thing that I think worth really fixing, as far as, well, you can't really fix it now because you've already posted it, but like just things to keep in mind is how much exposition to drop and when to drop it. And then this one slight art error with the hair over here. That's the only other thing, which that might be a scanning thing. I'm not entirely sure how this works. How you're doing it with your website, I mean. But yeah, besides that, I mean, again, I don't really have any major complaints. I really just don't. It's a great first volume of a comic. I think it was an enjoyable experience. I like the characters. I like the character artworks. Kaya, I'm not fully sold on Kaya as a main character yet, mainly because I feel like I need to know a little bit more about her to be sold on her. I'm sold on the other characters because they immediately have like a very impactful like showcase of what their personality is. Whereas Kaya's personality doesn't come off nearly as strong. Like she comes off as kind of like a Luke Skywalker character who's like more gifted than they realize and kind-hearted and all that kind of stuff, which will be good for her character. I think that's fine, but I don't think her introduction is nearly as impactful as the others. Not to say it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad at all. I'm just saying that the other characters have a more like just punchy like moment. Like maybe instead of like, you know, jumping up to the flower, like maybe she like before she goes into the flower, like maybe she stops a rock from hitting a guy, from falling on a guy, or maybe she like jumps in the way and catches him, right, and moves him out of the way of the rock, or just something to show that like she's got some innately heroic stuff before it comes to like the actual fight scene. It kind of gives you the idea of it, but that's entirely a nitpick on my end. You don't have to listen to that at all, like that. You don't have to listen to anything I say, but that especially I feel like it's just a minor nitpick. But I really like the story. I really like the art style. It's very, very anime / Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love it. I really like this. The presentation. I mean, look at the background. That's great. I love that. I really like this. This is a nice change of pace from some of the other comics I've read, especially all the Riververse stuff, which just all of it just blends together with that art style. But the art here is very good. The world building is pretty good as well. And yeah, I'm gonna check out the rest of this because I think this has some really good potential to be a great comic series. And the best part is, this is only the beginning. I mean, there's it looks like there's 2 different series, Marauder and Snipe Hunter. So I mean, I've got 2 other series and 2 other volumes to read. So I think this is gonna be a fun little deep dive. I might do some more reviews on this. I gotta get back to do some more reviews of other web comics like Screecher. What was the other one? Blue Shift. The first Blue Shift. I gotta go back and do that too. So I mean, there's some other stuff I need to go back and check. But this is a fun little detour that I didn't expect to record today. Anyway, I've been recording past 30 minutes. Again, thanks so much for reading Little Miss Steel. And all the nice stuff you guys have been saying. The views have blown me away. Thank you so much. Continue to check it out. Continue to share it with your friends. And Volume 6, I'm shooting. Volume 6, I'm gonna shoot for February. Potentially, I feel like I could do it by the end of January, but I'm gonna play it safe, and I'm just gonna say February because Christmas is coming up, and that's gonna be a busy week. So I might not be able to get any art done that week. So who knows? I'm going to say, just in case, February. But I will shoot for earlier if possible. Like I said, I aimed for the end of November for Volume 5, but ended up knocking out everything I needed to do. Ended up knocking out everything for Volume 5 in Saturday of last week. So it was a huge I just had the urge to draw, and I just kept doing it and finished it, just knocked it out. So with all that being said, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.